Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel and spending some of your day with me. And guys, today I want to talk about the type of day that you should avoid going fishing on if you have any way to plan your trips around, specific times of the year, specific times of the week or month. Because if you're like a lot of us, you sort of have to pick and choose the days you go fishing. And if you have the ability to look forward to the weather forecast like a week in advance, I'm going to tell you guys the one situation that you probably should not go fishing on those days because it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to catch a bass. And then we'll talk about some of the days that are going to be the best for fishing as far as if you look at those weather patterns to see what's going to come forth with that. So we'll get into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, before we get started, just a quick reminder that Tackle Warehouse has got that big back to spring fishing sale going on. If you guys are looking to get stocked up on your fishing tackle for this spring season, now is a great time to do it. I'll have my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video, guys. If you'd like to use and bookmark that link from now on for all your tackle purchases and use my link, a great way to support the channel here. Really appreciate that. And thank you very much for everybody that's been doing that in the past. We really appreciate it. Okay, weather patterns and the type of weather that you have when you go fishing has a huge impact on how good the fishing is going to be. I mean, you can always catch fish in any situation. I'm not saying that you can't catch fish certain days, but there's going to be some days that are absolutely going to be better than others, especially for the springtime of the year that I want to talk about in today's video. So let's talk about the conditions that you do not want to go fishing in. Number one, pretty self-explanatory. You don't want to go fishing after a severe cold front. Now, cold fronts come in different type of shapes and forms. Some cold fronts that pass through are very minor. You don't notice a big temperature drop with them, or there's not a big, variation in cloud cover or that type of stuff. But some frontal systems, especially in the spring, can be pretty radical. And normally on a radical front, you've got a really warm day that's followed up by this big front runs through, usually some type of an Arctic front. The wind switches 180 degrees from the south to the north, and usually the wind is high. It's cold, 20 degrees colder than normal, and bright bluebird conditions. That's like the worst cold front condition. It's always going to be tougher fishing in those situations. So if you couple that, if you look at the weather forecast and see that's coming about, and then you couple that with things like maybe the water's a little bit, muddy, or it's unseasonably cold or whatever, all those things are going to lead to really tough fishing conditions. So you want to try to sort of stay away from that for probably 2 or 3 days after that front rolls through. A lot of times the first day after the front is not that bad, especially if the wind comes up. But what happens like the second and third day, if you lose your wind and you still have those bright conditions and the temperature is still cold, that's when it can get really tough. So I start noticing the fishing is pretty slow for about 3 days after a bad front. And then once that wind switches back around to the south, they start biting a little bit again. So really pay attention to that. Also with that, pay close attention to precipitation prior to your trip, because in the springtime of the year, the extremities like the creek arms and river arms, they can muddy up really quick because a lot of times the ground's already saturated, it's wet, it doesn't dry out real fast. So it doesn't take a lot of rain to put a lot of dirt into the water. So pay close attention. If you've had a week where it's been raining quite a bit before your trip, I would probably not go fishing, during that time period, especially this time of year when the water's, sort of cold still. High rising dirty water accompanied by water temperatures that are under 55 degrees or so is a recipe for tough fishing. So those are two things that you want to really try to avoid with that. Okay, now the days that you want to try to go fishing, again, if you look at the extended forecast, this is the perfect day to go fishing in the springtime. If you have a situation where there's a front that's on the way and you've got a warming trend, say the temperatures are above normal a little bit, you've got your humidity is a little bit high, you've got some cloud cover, and you've got a south wind, 10 to 15 mile an hour, something like that. If you have a day like that, especially the more dense the clouds are, and you have a steady or a falling barometric pressure in correlation with all that, guys, you're going to have some good fishing. That's the days that you want to go out, especially on those steady to falling barometric pressures with that warm south wind and low light conditions. Though all those factors, they come together perfectly to make the fish really aggressive and really bite. So from the time frame of about, mid-February into early April, pay close attention to your weather forecast. This is the time of year where weather has a bigger impact on the mood and the personality of a bass than any other time of the year. As the water temperatures warm up above 70 degrees, you notice that those fronts don't have as big of an impact, or the rising dirty water doesn't have as big of an impact. But it's only, during the pre-spawn period of the year and, into the spawn a little bit, that those environmental conditions make those fish really active or really inactive. So try to plan and choose your day. It goes a long way in having a successful day on the water if you do that. So anyway, I hope it helps, guys. We'll talk later.